Sardine fasting, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Here I am after a 2 week long sardine fast. It has been quite a long and hard road to get to where I am right now. There have been lots of ups and downs. This is going to be a little bit of a longer video, but I think it's really important because, in my experience, there is not a lot of information out there about sardine fasting other than a bunch of trending videos about your skin and your hair and your nails and your energy and your mental clarity, but nothing really talking about the pitfalls of this diet. And while I do believe this diet is incredible, there are absolutely some pros and cons and things that you really need to know if you're interested in doing a long-term sardine fast. And if you don't know them, you're going to go through a lot of the same problems that I went through. Number one, first and foremost, why a sardine fast? Well, here's what it comes down to. This is Mother Nature's perfect multivitamin. A sardine, being an entire animal, missing just the head and the tail, it contains the skin, it contains the bones. A sardine is packed full of nutrition, a level of calcium, a level of built up of creatine, of omega-3 fatty acids, but also this balance between fat and protein that basically allows you to go into a state of ketosis, but also autophagy. And people will say, well, you can't go into autophagy without doing a true water fast. They're incorrect. On a sardine fast, you are so satiated by the sardines that you find yourself in this intense caloric restriction without actually being hungry. And that's sort of the secret behind this fast. I find it very difficult to eat more than 4 cans a day. And 4 cans a day of sardines, we're talking about somewhere around 800 calories. And so before you know it, you find yourself trying to add in other fats because, let's face it, you're in ketosis. Your body goes into fat burning mode. And that's the reason why you lose weight. I certainly lost weight over the last 2 weeks. And the best part is where you lose the weight. All of a sudden, all of the visceral fat on your body starts to be attacked by your body, which then turns into the autophagy process, the activation of mitochondria. You start losing weight around the middle. I lost weight on my thighs, I lost weight on my stomach, and also on my lower back, exactly where you want to lose weight. But what's more is that someone like myself who's into weightlifting and fitness, I don't want to lose muscle. And one of the problems with fasting is you start fearing about losing muscle. So there's 2 things here to keep in mind. Number one, when you're fasting, your body starts naturally producing growth hormones to stop yourself from basically harvesting your muscles for fuel. But on top of that, the great thing about a sardine fast is that the omega-3s in the sardines further push your body not to harvest muscle. You basically go into this mode where your body is eating visceral fat and it is trying to maintain its muscle. But there are things that are missing here, and it's very important to keep this in mind. This is something that no one really talked about when I was first getting into this. First and foremost, the 2 key nutrients that are missing here are magnesium and vitamin C. I managed to fix these about maybe 5 days into the fast. I was having horrible sleep, so at first I entered in with magnesium glycinate. This is a magnesium that relaxes your muscles, and it certainly did aid in sleep. And then what I also added is I added in vitamin C. Now, this is basically it's called adrenal cocktail, but it's a combination of vitamin C and electrolytes. There are no carbohydrates in either of these products. Again, I have no sponsors. These are just the products I happen to end up using. The addition of these 2 things to the diet, which I added only in around the 6th day, are what really balanced me out. And I really wish I knew from the beginning that I should be getting vitamin C and magnesium, so keep this in mind. Number 2, keep in mind, you are in a state of ketosis. And so you need those electrolytes, and that's the reason why I chose this specific adrenal cocktail, because the combination of the electrolytes and also the vitamin C. But another way to get the electrolytes would obviously be adding in salt. So adding a really healthy salt, like basically like a sea salt or underground salt. Look for something that is free of microplastics. That'll certainly be helpful. Add this to your water. And also another thing permitted on this diet, you can have black coffee, but you can also add oils to it. And that's something I'm going to talk about really quick. So add this to your food. I know sardines are salty, but not kidding. Sprinkle some on top of your sardines, add it to your morning coffee, or if you're just drinking water, add it to your water. And then another really helpful thing is have a very high mineral content sparkling water. This is something that you should basically be keeping with you all day long. When you're in a state of ketosis, you are starving minerals. You are constantly losing water and you're constantly losing minerals. You're losing electrolytes. You need to replenish them, which brings me back to the oil. You are in ketosis. You are in a strict calorie restriction. You are basically harvesting your own fat. And yes, the process works. But if you find yourself in a situation where you are severely lacking energy, you may want to up the amount of oil. So when I first started this, I was doing this exclusively using sardines in mineral water. And I was adding my own extra virgin olive oil because I was afraid of the oils within the sardine cans, maybe oxidation. But as I progressed, I realized two things. One, monotony will kill you on this diet. If you are just eating the same brand of sardines over and over and over again, it can be so incredibly boring. You might have gotten past the idea of eating the sardines, gotten past the flavor. Maybe you don't like them. I'm lucky I happen to like the flavor of sardines. But once you get past all of that, you're eating the same can over and over and over again. It can be brutal. So adding certain things like different brands in oil, look for the higher quality stuff. I found some really great stuff from Portugal and Spain. I talked about those in other videos. That's really the way to go. But another thing to think about is adding your own fresh extra virgin olive oil. And another key and completely permitted on a sardine fast, MCT oil. Cool thing about MCT oil is that it goes into your system. It absorbs very quickly through your stomach lining, goes right to your liver, and your liver can turn it immediately into ketones, which is what your body's running on a diet like this. Which brings me to the next point. People kept on bringing up throughout this entire process, you're going to get gout. They are loaded with mercury. They are loaded with arsenic. So I just wanted to clear the air with a couple of these things. Okay? If you are eating strictly sardines and drinking water, you are not going to get gout. The reason is that you do not have an intake of sugar and alcohol. Gout is triggered by a certain combination of things. If you do not have that constant insulin running through your body, the insulin is what holds the purines that turn gout into this painful affliction within your joints. Without that insulin constantly running through your body, it's not collecting in your joints, and therefore you are not going to get gout. Mercury. Sardines are very small fish with very short lifespans. In other words, they don't collect a large amount of mercury from the water. Larger fish like tuna, swordfish, fish that are eating other fish, they're living longer lives. They're consuming fish that have been consuming things that have mercury. That's where that mercury buildup comes from. As for the arsenic, it's an organic arsenic that your body basically expels. So if you were to go on the sardine fast and get your blood tested while you're on the sardine fast, you would most likely test positive for arsenic. However, if you then get your blood tested maybe 2 days later, you would not be positive for arsenic. This is really important to keep in mind. And lastly, the timing of a sardine fast. So the most popular timing is 3 days. And 3 days, in my opinion, really is a perfect timing for the average person, especially if you've never done this before. Now, if you would consider yourself to be a little bit more advanced, maybe you've been in ketosis before, then I actually recommend pushing that to 5 days. I feel like the optimal time for me was that 5 to 7 day window. I noticed the benefits of this fast significantly around the 5th day, and then on to the 7th day. And then after that, that's when things started to get really rough. When I say really rough, I mean from the perspective that the caloric restriction, and being a person that doesn't have a large amount of fat on my body, the more fat on your body you have, probably the better you will deal with this diet once you get through the process of switching into ketosis. But without that amount of fat on your body starts looking for energy sources, and if it can't find it, then it's going to start telling you there's problems. I started getting lethargic. I got a little bit dizzy. This is after the 7th day. In my opinion, the 3 to 5 day sardine fast is the absolute pinnacle to basically get all the benefits: mental clarity, weight loss, activation of mitochondria. It is the perfect window for this diet. Anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I'll also be doing a podcast soon with Drinking on the Job to talk about this fast. And I hope that anyone that has been following me can learn from all the mistakes, but also all the things I learned.